I've been reading a lot of what the oil, gas, and coal people are saying about you, Sulakshana. And they say that you are vilifying the fuel that we need to keep the lights on. Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty. We are calling out the insurance industry, which for too long has skated beneath the radar. Insurance companies are supposed to protect society and communities from catastrophic risk. But in the case of the climate crisis, they are actually fueling it by perpetuating our dependence on dirty energy.
Let me get that straight. You're blaming insurance companies for climate change?
Projects that are not insurable are not bankable. So adequate insurance coverage is often a prerequisite for a fossil fuel company going to a bank or a government and getting a loan to build a new project. So if we can get insurance companies saying no to all of these new fossil fuel projects, then we can stop them in their tracks.
But I'm sure that an insurance executive would say, look, we're not making the decision to build new fossil fuel infrastructure. We're just there to insure it. So why is it on the insurance companies?
Because insurance companies actually have the power to stop supporting these projects, and by doing that, ensure that they cannot be built. Fossil fuel companies need insurance, but insurance does not need the fossil fuel industry. For most companies in the insurance world, that makes up a very tiny percentage of their overall business. But these projects are super costly to build. They're not a good investment, and that will also impact their bottom line.
The thing I'm having trouble with is if you're an insurance company who insured a lot of homes in California when the wildfires hit, why isn't it just obvious to you that this is a bad business move to insure fossil fuels?
That is the $1 million question. So one of the things that's happening is that insurance companies are adjusting to our warming world by dropping clients that are on the front lines of the climate crisis. So over in California, Liberty Mutual and other insurance companies dropped hundreds of thousands of people from their policies. People that had experienced wildfires or were in regions at risk of wildfires. They would have continued dropping more people, but the state of California actually issued a moratorium and said, you have to stop doing this because people, aren't able to get coverage.
Were you surprised to discover how incestuous the insurance industry and the fossil fuel industry is?
I think I was surprised at the depth of those relationships, but certainly not that they exist. The people kind of in power on the boards of US insurers also serve on the boards of fossil fuel companies. So Liberty Mutual, for example, the CEO of Liberty is on the board of a huge gas-intensive utility in the Northeast. And more than half of its board members also serve on the board of a polluting industry. So these are the people that are literally making decisions about the future of this company that have a vested interest in the expansion of fossil fuels.
I'm a tennis fan, and I remember seeing at the US Open a huge, I think it was a 15-foot torso of the CEO of Chubb Insurance Company with signs from activists like you saying, stop financing climate change or something of that sort. Was that effective?
We organized an action at the US Open in September 2021 because Chubb, which is one of the biggest insurance companies in the world and a top oil and gas insurer, was a major sponsor of the tennis tournament. For months before, we had been showing up at Chubb's offices, calling them, jamming their online calendars, and trying to secure a meeting with them to talk about their support for the Trans Mountain Tar Sands pipeline. Chubb refused to respond to any of our messages or actions, and so we showed up at that US Open. And we brought this inflatable with the face of Chubb's CEO, Evan Greenberg, who, it's important to note, talks a really big game on climate change. He is the most outspoken when it comes to talking about the risks that climate change poses to our society and the responsibility of insurance companies to take action. So we decided to put his hypocrisy on blast. We showed up with this clear message to Evan Greenberg. Now, just a few days later, they said, we are no longer insuring tar sands projects. So just
Victory.
4 days after we showed up there, they announced their policy publicly.
That a year from now, we're going to be in a much better place on this. There'll be more insurance companies that are turning their back on insuring fossil fuel infrastructure.
I am optimistic. The pressure is growing more and more. Young people are saying we don't want to work for an insurance company that is deep in fossil fuels. Investors are coming forward and saying, hey, as owners of this company, we demand that you take action on fossil fuels. Increasingly, legislators, regulators, politicians are speaking out, and people are taking to the streets. We're seeing unprecedented numbers of actions calling on the insurance industry, right? This target that seems super niche for the climate movement, but it's actually, become a major spotlight for people across the world.